everyone. So today we're gonna learn about circumference of a circle. But before moving toward circumference of a circle, you should know the few basic definitions, which includes definition of circle, radius, diameter, as well as what actually the circumference is. So, circle is a round shape, like you must know about it. The things round are named as circle. So, the circle is a round shape where all the points on the edge. So, we call this as edge. It's named as edge. So, where all the points on the edge, like this circle is being made from many points. So all the points on the edge are the same distance from the center. That's what the definition of circle is. Like this is the center and all the points on the edges are at the same distance from the center. That's what circle is. So let's move toward the second definition, which is of radius. So the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the point on the edge of the circle. So this line which I have drawn here is of radius. So we're gonna call it as radius because this is the line. See, this is this line whose distance is from the center of the circle to the point on the edge of the circle. So from center to the edge is named as radius. So you have to keep this in mind because this is very important in order to move toward the circumference to know the basic definitions. After that, let's move toward diameter of a circle. So, diameter of a circle is the straight line that goes across the circle to the center. Diameter of a circle is the straight line that goes across the circle. Like, it's a straight line, see, that goes across the circle. This is named as diameter. Okay? This black line, or I can change its color. So this is green now. So this line is the diameter because it's the straight line that goes across the circle to the center. Like it's going across but to the center. Now let's move toward the last definition of circumference. Circumference is the distance all the way around the circle. For example, let's take a small example, which is this. So, for example, you start here, okay, and you have to run all around, and then your destination is again this point. Like you keep going like this. So, all the way around the circle is named as circumference. That's what the definition of circumference. If you want to revise the concepts, you can go back and watch it again. So until now, we have learned what circle is, what radius is, what diameter is, and what circumference is. Now, the most important thing you're gonna learn, which is the formula for circumference, how we find it. Because we already know that the distance all the way around the circle is circumference, but how are we gonna find it? Like when we are having radius only, we only know the radius of that ground. How are we gonna find out the circumference of it? Or even when we have the diameter, how are we gonna find out the circumference? So here are a few steps you're gonna follow in order to find out the circumference. So for circumference, what you're gonna do is the other gonna be, you have these three. It's gonna be like this, and the other is this. One is already you're having like diameter. So now you're having, you can take it as diameter. You can take these lines as diameter, that I have taken the diameter same length as diameter. Now the next step you're gonna do here is Like this is one diameter, this is the second diameter, and this is the third diameter. See, and this is the diameter you are already having, this one. So the next step you're going to do here is when you put this diameter number 1, okay, I'm naming it 1, 2, 3. So when you're going to put this line, like when you make it a curve, like if you're having string and you can make a curve of it, so you're going to take this diameter number 1 and you're going to place it on the boundary. It's going to be diameter number 1, and then it's going to be diameter number 2, and then the last one is diameter number 3. But still you haven't reached to your destination because diameter number 3 ends here. It's going to end here. This much is still left. So how are you going to cover it? It's going to be like it's about 0.14. That's what its value is. So what you're going to do here is you can write it as 3.14D. That's how you can write it. Like this 3.1 we have took from this number 1 diameter. Like you can, okay, let me make it more simple for you. So we can write it like D1, like it's 1 diameter, then we can add it one more diameter and the third diameter, and also little more, this one which I have named as 0.14 plus 0.14 is gonna be equals to circumference of our circle. Do you understand? So it's gonna be equals to circumference of a circle. C is for circumference of a circle. So the next step you're gonna do is when you add all of them, you're gonna get 3.14D. Or you can say that the circumference of a circle is 3 times, like more than 3 times, because here it ends the 3 times. So circumference of a circle is more than 3 times the diameter of a circle. So that's how you're going to get this value 3.14. And after that, now mathematician has named this value as pi. So 3.14 is called pi. So we can write it like this. Circumference is equals to pi d. You know, one more thing to know is that we can also write this 3.14 as 22 by 7. 22 by 7. So this pi 3.14 is for pi. This is a symbol for pi, and then you're gonna write diameter. So without wasting time, let's move toward real life examples and few more steps of this formula. So you should know that diameter is twice of our radius. See, this half is radius 1 and the other half is radius 2. So when you add them, you're gonna get 2r. So it means diameter is, see, these two radiuses, radii, we call it radii, not radiuses. So these are two radii, and two radii together make one diameter. So we can write 2r except diameter. So we're gonna write it like pi, and for diameter you're gonna write 2r, or by rearranging it you can simply write it as 2 pi r. So that's what we have learned till now, which includes circle definition, radius, diameter, circumference, and then we come to know that why we get pi and what's the meaning of this pi. Pi is not a formula, it's not a shape, it's a number, which is 3.14. And how we get it, that I told you here, that this pi is, and the whole circumference is 3.14 times of the diameter. That's what I have written here, or how I get it, I also wrote it here. So that's how we're going to get the formula for circumference, which is equals to 2 pi r. Now let's move toward few real life examples of circumference. See, we are done with this. So now these are the few examples which are real life examples, like this roundabout. You must have seen it. The wheel, the Ferris wheel, the traffic light bulb. So all of them, you should notice that all of them are in the shape of a circle. So from this roundabout, you come to know that this pinkish is diameter, because this is the center. Here, this is the center, and from center to the edge is called as radius, and from this across the circle through the center is diameter, and all around the circle is named as circumference. So this yellow color is circumference, and green is for diameter, and the pink is for radius for this roundabout. Now let's move toward the next example, which is a wheel. So for this wheel, the circumference is around the circle, which is in black color, and in the same way, these strings in the wheel are radius, while this whole thing is named as diameter, which is twice of our radius. Now let's move toward Ferris wheel. If you ever visited and if you ever come across through Ferris wheel, you want to know that these are the radius and the diameter. And we already know the definitions for radius and diameter, and the whole thing around is named as circumference. Now let's move toward the last example, which is of traffic light bulb. You notice that the traffic light bulb is also in the shape of a circle. So in this circle, this gonna be the diameter, and the half of this diameter is radius, while around this whole circle, the boundary is the circumference. Now, let's move toward the last thing of today's lecture, which is the examples, that what we are given and how we're going to find out the diameter. So it's simple. Here you see a roundabout has a diameter of 60 meter. It means the value for D here is 60 meter, and you have to find out the value of circumference. So you already know the formula for circumference, which is equals to 2 pi r. So it's going to be like this, 2 pi r. Or you can also write this 2r as d, because diameter is twice of a radius. So you can write it as pi d. And now it's easy for you to find out the circumference by putting the value for pi 3.14 times 60. So you have to simply multiply it, and then you're going to get the answer. The second question is, a wheel has a radius. Before we were having diameter, but in our second example, the radius is given and you have to find out the diameter. You already know that diameter is the twice of the radius, so you're going to use this formula. So the value for radius is 35, and you're going to simply multiply it, and 35 times 2. What's going to be the answer? Is the answer going to be 70? You have to check this answer. Is this correct or not? And comment below. Now let's move toward our third example, which is the edge of a water fountain needs to be repainted. Okay. So there is a water fountain like this, and the edge of this water fountain needs to be repainted if the fountain has a radius of 10 meters. So now we are having radius. Edge means the whole boundary. So now the radius you're given is 10 meter, and you have to find out the boundary or the circumference of the water fountain. So you're simply going to apply this formula, which is C is equals to 2 pi r. And then you're going to put the value for pi as well as radius like this, multiply by 3.14, and multiply by radius, which is 10 meter. And then you're going to multiply them all together, and then you're going to get the value for circumference. Okay, let's check our answers here. Like, these are the solutions for the questions we have done above. For this, you're going to do like this circumference, because when you are given with the diameter, you're going to apply this formula, and you should know that the diameter is always the twice of the radius. And for the last one, the circumference formula, which we have done, which we have understood today, it is 2 pi r, and when you multiply them, you're going to get this answer, which is 62.8. And the circumference of water fountain is about 62.8. That's what you're going to write in the answer. You understand? If you have any question, don't forget to write in the comment, as well as don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video, which will be about area of a circle.